Saturday morning, my son helped me. We opened up the hangar door and got all the tools out of here and stacked up outside. And then I spent a day cleaning up in here, sweeping up and straightening stuff up, and finally got a chance to get back here into some of the corners I haven't been to for a while. I got it ready for Fish and Game crew to come on Monday and help me bring the wing down here into the hangar. Yesterday we got it up. They just helped me get it in position. As you can see, there's a bunch of stuff to hook up in there. Of course, we had all those pieces, hoses for the fuel tank. This is the forward drain here, and then we've got the hoses for the fuel gauge and the rear drain hose, and then the hose for the fuel pump from the belly tank up into this left wing tank. I got those hooked up, got those on, and then slid the wing into the hinge points and got pins in them. I just have drift pins in them for now. But I quit. It got too doggone hot. It was 85 degrees here yesterday, and of course it was cooking, sweltering here in the hangar, and it just got too hot to do anything. Those of you folks down where it's warm are just going to chuckle, oh poor babies, it was 85 degrees when you're in the 100-degree temperatures and 90s and stuff like that. But we went from 50 degrees on Friday to 85 degrees yesterday. Now it's overcast, the forecast to start raining again this evening and to cool off a little bit. So it's still 75 degrees here in the hangar, but that's comfortable now. We tried working outside a little bit yesterday, but it was over 100 degrees out there in the sunshine where we were working, so we just had to quit. Went for a drive to see some pretty country. Alright, here's what it looks like from the top. Got the fuel tank on there, of course. I've got these holes into the machine screw, or machine nut. Ends of it burned out the other day, but I still don't have the ones here for the side. Here's the fuel tank hose. This hose here goes into the fuselage, and this is where the fuel gauge is here. Then there's another line that goes all the way around. It ties both tanks together. Just the vents on both tanks, not both tanks. So this is the line here that comes up from the belly tank. You can see there's where it hooks up. I've still got to slide that fuel line down a little bit and get my hose clamps on, and then right underneath it is the main drain line, the main supply line from the rear of the fuel tank. And then there's the hinge point. Just got drift pin in there. I've got some bullets that I made up. I call them bullets, where I took bolts the size that go through there, turned the heads of them off, and turned the point down on them so you can use them as a drift to go through there and then follow the bolts through. And here is the front. I've got cable coming through for the GPS antenna here, and cable coming through the wing back there for the VHF marine radio. This is a lifting eye here for picking the plane up, and I've got my drift pin in there. That's the hinge point, that's the attach point there. And of course this is the aileron cable that we've been playing with the whole time. This is the carry-through cable. Comes through the wing to back there where the strut's attached to the wing, and then goes down through the bottom of the fabric and controls the bottom of the aileron. And that goes through the cabin right there and attaches to the other one that goes to the other wing on the other side. And we got wires right here for the nav and landing lights. I still got to hook those up. And then these are the lines for the pitot static system here. This is the flexible lines that hook into the hard lines. Here's the hard lines down here, the aluminum lines that I worked on, so I've got to hook those up yet. So we still got a little bit of work to do, but it's a little cooler today, so hopefully I can get this thing all hooked up. And of course here's where the wing struts attach. This is the forward wing strut here, attach point here, and the rear wing strut attach point there. This is where that cable comes out for the lower aileron cable. But we still got a lot of work to do. I got that fairing to put on back here on the flap false bar, and of course then the flaps to put on. I've got to rig that. Here's the cable here. I've got it run through a hole that I made in the fabric there for the flap control. That's got to be hooked up, and I've still got the push rod to put in and stuff like that. There's what the wing looks like from the bottom. There's still a lot of work to do on this wing to get it ready. We got to go ahead and hook up all the stuff in the wing root, get the bolts in there and the hinge points, put the struts on. Got landing lights to put on and the ailerons to put on. I got nav light out here to put on. I finally fished that wire out of there. And then we have to rig the wing. So the ring has to be set so that it comes up at a slight angle from the fuselage out here to the tip, and then there has to be some washout on it too. So the front edge of the tip out here sits up a little higher. Oh no, down a little lower. Yeah, down a little bit lower than the trailing edge out here on the tip. That's all adjusted in the wing struts, and I didn't change anything on my struts, so it's possible it could go back together just the way it came apart, which was perfect, but we won't know until we start doing a little checking on it. Here's the parts breakdown for the wing attachment and stuff on the airplane. Right here is where the attach point is, the forward attach point, and then here is the rear attach point. The rear attach point takes an AN5-16 alpha. AN5 is a 5/16 bolt. And the forward attach point takes an AN5-17 alpha. But the forward attach point on this airplane has a lifting eye on there for a seaplane to pick the airplane up with. So I don't think a 17 is going to fit. We'll have to see what else we got that'll fit. I forget what size it was. It's been so long now that my memory's not that good. So anyway, here is the AN5-16 alpha bolts for the rear spar. And these are what I call bullets. I took old AN5 bolts, the CAD plating was wore off of them, turned the head off of them, and then made a taper, long taper on them. So I take these and push these through the holes to line everything up, like a line-up punch. And then I'll take the bolt and put in behind them and tap the bolt through. The bolt will push these out, and the bolt will be all lined up in the hole. This long one, the head's mushroomed a little bit on it, so I'm going to go ahead and take it up to the lathe and taper this down on this end a little bit more, and then polish these up, put some lube on them, and we'll see if we can't get those into the wing attach points there, the wing hinges. I took those two bullets and put them on the lathe, and this longer one that I've got in here now, I put a little bit of a chamfer on the end that was kind of mushroomed where it had been driven on before. I polished them up a little bit, and then I brought them back down here to the hanger, and I put this longer one through this hinge point here on the wing. I did have a drift pin in there, knocked it out, and then it took a little bit of maneuvering to get that thing lined up to get it through there, but that's the point of it right there, like that. It just drives it through, and now we can follow through with a bolt. Well, I've got a brand new AN5-16 alpha bolt. Now there is a tolerance here in the gap between these hinge points, and if this spar moves back and forth more than a certain amount between these hinge points here, then you fill that gap with washers, but these are tight. There's nothing wrong with these at all. Of course, that's the new fuselage. In fact, they were almost too tight when I put it all together the first time. You can see here, here's the front hinge point, and we've got the lifting eye right here. I've got a drift pin in there holding that on position, and there's no gap, there's no slop at all in there. That thing doesn't slide anywhere back and forth at all, so that's really good. Well, crap, I can't get in there to see that. Alright, that ladder that I was using didn't get me in position to where I could see in here and work on this. The last time I did this, I had it on wheels, it wasn't on floats, so this thing's really up in the air now. Whoop. Alright, I lost my spot. There it goes. All right. Okay, that gets that through there without boogering up the threads or anything. It looks like I may need another washer in there. There's more gap in there than I initially thought. Well, the importance of having the right perspective tools for this. When I was on that other ladder, I couldn't see up here into this to see that gap there, and it took being up here on a ladder where I could look and using the flashlight to be able to see in there to see that gap. You couldn't see it from underneath. Turn that flashlight down so it's not quite so bright. There we go, that's better. Alright, a little recap here. A memory card got filled up there, so I don't know exactly what got recorded, but anyway, I got the bolt in there, and once I got to inspecting, I could see there was a little too much gap in here. There's already a washer in there, so I went and got another small washer. And that one might be a thin washer that's in there, and replacing that with a standard, replacing that with a standard washer will get me down to the right tolerance there on that. That's what I got to do. Well, now that bullet is out against there a little bit, so I'm going to go get another bullet or something and push that one through so that I can get the washer in there. Alright, now I've got to drive that bullet through there a little bit so I can get that washer in there. I'll have to fish out the washer that's already in there. There it comes. Well, that was a thick washer. So I'll put that one back in with a thin washer in there. Standard washer and a thin washer in there. Yep, I can do that. Now I need to get those lined up in the hole. Okay, good. I went ahead and brought over the other bullet, and I'll stick it in there and drive out the one. Now I can go ahead and put my bolt in there. There it goes, okay. Alright, that's that one. Now I got to put a washer and a nut on it. And I've got to look up and see what the torque is on them. I forgot what the torque's supposed to be on them. These are not supposed to be tightened down tight because that wing kind of pivots on that. You don't want it loose on there, but it's got to be able to move or be free just a little bit. So that bolt is in. Now I got to do the same with the front one. Well, I've already got a washer here. I can put that on, and I just got to go get a nut, and that takes an AN 365 or MS, whatever the MS number is on that now, locking nut. And almost no perceptible gap in there in that hinge point now, and that's good.